Hello friends. Today I have brought for you all a movie to be released in 2023, titled Murder Mystery 2. The movie starts with clips from the first murder mystery movie, in which a husband and wife, Nick and Odette, solve a case and become obsessed with becoming detectives. Both husband and wife have opened a detective company, but they are not getting any clients in this company. That is why their work was not going well. Nick then receives a call from an Indian friend of his, Maharaja Vikram, who tells him that he has bought a new island where he is about to get married. He invites Nick to his wedding. He also asks Nick to bring his wife. Nick happily accepts the invitation. Then they both arrive at the island in a private jet sent by Maharaja, where Maharaja and his fiancée give them an enthusiastic welcome. Maharaja introduces Nick Audrey to his fiancée Claudette. Nick and Audrey then meet with the security officer, Colonel Ulenga, who has an amputated arm. But Nick tries to remember that both of his arms are crooked. He says that someone tried to shoot Maharaja. Maharaja has his new security guard, Mr. Meatlow, lead them to the room and tell them that they have never seen an Indian wedding before, and tell them about tonight's music. Both Nick and Audrey enter their room and are surprised to see such a magnificent room and eat various dried fruits lying there. As Nick presses the button on the remote to turn on the TV, the roof of the room opens. They both get ready after some relaxation, for which they dress in Indian-style clothes and are happy to see themselves in new looks. They then go to attend a grand Sangeet ceremony where Indian songs are played. As they enter the hall, they meet Colonel Ulenga. Then Audrey meets Francisco, chairman of Maharaja's company, so she introduces him to Nick. Nick recognizes Francisco. Audrey fills the plate with food to eat. There he meets Countess Suko, who insults Audrey for filling her plate, and she starts to throw the food, but she notices a girl who is watching her. Audrey goes and sits next to her. The girl says her name is Sarah and tells her that she is Maharaja's sister. Francisco also comes there. Francisco taunts the Countess for not marrying Maharaja, and the Countess insults Francisco, which Francisco leaves embarrassed. Sarah tells Audrey that the Countess is Maharaja's ex-fiancée. As soon as the dance is announced, everyone starts dancing to the Indian song in which the bride also dances. Nick and Audrey are also encouraging the dance. Then the groom enters the elephant, but it suddenly falls. He is not Maharaja, but his new bodyguard who has been murdered. Nick and Audrey get a case. Nick runs out to find Maharaja is being carried away by a man on a boat. Meanwhile, Audrey takes pictures of all the evidence. Nick comes in and tells everyone about Maharaja's kidnapping. Nick says that the kidnapper is only one man and his partner will be there. Everyone starts blaming each other and starts arguing. Nick and Audrey enter the room, and Francisco comes in and says that it was not Claudette who did the kidnapping, because Maharaja made him sign a contract that if anything happens to Maharaja, Claudette will not get anything. But then there is a knock on the door again. Francisco hides in the closet. Claudette comes in through the door and tells them that Sarah and the colonel arranged the kidnapping because Sarah is hungry for money and wants to take over the whole business. Once again, there is a knock on the door and Audrey hides Claudette as well. Sarah comes in and tells them both to keep an eye on Claudette because she has her eye on my brother's money. Then there is another knock on the door, and now the Countess and her friend enter. This kidnapping is done by Francisco because he wants to take over Maharaja's company. He has already stolen money from the company because of his children. Then Francisco comes out and says that I have not stolen anything, and suddenly the colonel opens the door and everyone gets scared and comes out. Suddenly Claudette's phone rings and the kidnapper's message comes that Maharaja is with them, and they will demand money at 7 in the morning. In the morning, everyone gathers at the beach. Then some cops come there. Colonel tells them that these agents are clones of the unit. Nick and Andrew want to help Miller, but Miller says that I'm more suspicious of you two because your guys' agent agency is a failure. This kidnapping will get you guys a case and money. Just then Kidnap gets a call and wants to talk to the person he shot yesterday. The kidnapper asks Nick to come to Paris with the 50 billion, at which point Francisco loses his consciousness and the kidnapper hangs up. Nick calls the kidnapper again, this time to bring the kidnapper for the 60 billion, says. Nick and Audrey keep the kidnapper busy to find out the kidnapper's address, and because of this, the kidnapper gets angry and increases the money by 10 million, which means that now the kidnapper will have to pay 70 million. They pack up and get ready to go to Paris. Upon arriving in Paris, Miller takes both Audrey's and Nick's phones and then gives Audrey the only phone she can use to talk to the kidnapper. And after understanding all the roles, they both go out to meet the kidnapper. They get a call from the kidnapper who asks them to go to the van. There is a man in the van who asks them to sit in the car. Both of them refuse, but because of Maharaja's threat to kill them, they sit in the van. Others are watching Nick and Audrey through cameras and think it was a bad idea to sit in the car, and Nick gets into a fight with the kidnappers. Audrey kills all the kidnappers and takes over the car, causing it to crash into the restaurant. They then watch on TV where news showing that Nick is called a killer because Nick has a knife in his hand. Then Miller comes and says this is fake news. He takes the briefcase of money from them and says, "We will meet today at 7:00 p.m. Then the car in which Miller sits gets blasted. Then a man comes and takes the briefcase from the car. Then it hits a truck, and the man who was in the truck took the briefcase and left. Audrey goes and notes down the number of the truck. Going to Oprah, she meets a friend of hers, Inspector Delacroix. Audrey gives him the number of the truck and asks him to track it, but he refuses to help them both. He would have refused because he was now wanted in Europe, but they both handcuff him and find out from his mobile app where the truck is at the moment, which is 80 km away from there. Then they both take the inspector's car and leave. They call the colonel and everyone else and tell them that they didn't do anything like that. But the colonel says that's what everyone thinks. You have money after all. They both reach the place where the location of the truck was found, but there they are stopped by the Countess and her service maid at gunpoint and tied up by Nick and Audrey. How could I miss this opportunity when I found out that reckless people like you are going to get $70 billion and set fire to the mansion? So Audrey and Nick also die. But before going, Countess shoots her service maid. She can escape, her assistant regains consciousness, and she shoots the Countess and both die. And Audrey and Nick jump out the window to save their lives into the water, and their briefcase containing $70 billion is also found. They sit there in a Lamborghini and leave. From there, they call the others who are in the office with the inspector. They tell them all that we five have $70 billion, and if any of you have kidnapped the Maharaja, take them and meet them at the Eiffel Tower restaurant as soon as possible. When they reach there, they see that there is no public there except them. They find out that these people have booked the whole restaurant, and then they both start to think what could be the motive of these people to kidnap the Maharaja. They are thinking that then the Maharaja comes there, but there is a bomb attached to his body which will blow up the whole tower. It is to be sent to the kidnappers, and after they get the money they will send the detonator here. But Nick is sure that nothing happens, the bomb doesn't explode. Until the end it's just like the bomb doesn't explode. Then there comes Miller, who is alive, and he tells everyone that he was behind it all, and he sets the bomb back, and everyone is going to die. Then a girl, Susan, comes in. Everyone wonders, who is this? And why is she here? It turns out that she has come to find her boyfriend. Then there is a fight between Miller and Neil People, and Miller starts to leave with a briefcase. Audrey goes back and jumps over him to get the detonator. As the two go up the ropes, Miller tells Audrey that he's not going to spare a single witness. He's going to blow up the entire Eiffel Tower because he doesn't like the French anyway. Neil comes up through the elevator, which Miller's team shoots at, but Nick isn't there. So on the other side, Nick attacks Miller's men. Orderly is fighting Miller to get the detonator, and she's about to throw the briefcase down. Francisco also comes up and he helps Nick fight everyone. To save Audrey, Nick comes up and shoots at Miller, but the bullet doesn't hit him, but hits the detonator, causing it to malfunction, causing the automatic bomb to go off and Maharaja to escape. Miller shoves Audrey and she falls, but she grabs the ropes and escapes. So Nick opens the briefcase, which starts raining money out, and then we see Miller's team get there by helicopter, and Audrey gets back to the tower somehow. Then she and Nick tie the same rope to Miller and throw him down, and Miller narrowly escapes. It is by which he is killed. At the same time, Miller's team's helicopter also crashes, after which they all meet back at the restaurant. Everyone is happy that everything is finally over. Audrey asked Sarah, "How is this blood in your hands?" Sarah said it's not blood henna, but he suspects it. She asked Sarah, "I didn't see you dancing in the Sanjeet. And then you came suddenly when the elephant came, and then she remembered that I saw henna marks on the clothes of the man handling the elephant too," Saira said, when she tried to kill her brother and seeing her pool open. She quickly took out a gun and tried to kill her brother because she wanted to take over such a big family business. But his father gave the donkey to Maharaja. So now she wants to take her right, but the bullet does not hit her brother, but the colonel, that too in his other hand. Then Claudette comes and takes Sarah out of the way. It is the inspector who finds her love, who is none other than Susan. Claudette and Vikram say that now they will finally be able to go and get married. Then the story shifts to the next day where Nick and Audrey lock a bridge to make a wish. Then Maharaja Vikram calls them and says there is a helicopter ready for both of you to go wherever you want, and gives them a bag full of money, even though the bag is made of dinosaur skin. Then both leave for a private helicopter ride in Maharashtra. Both are very happy that now they have money, but only them. The pilot points a gun at both of them and tells them to give back the bag full of money, and then the pilot jumps out of the helicopter, and they both get hit, and that's the end. Thanks for watching.